In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
I try to find the best levelling system for a motorhome or campervan.
In the news, you can join us for our open day at that leisure shop.
And we answer your questions on if you can drive over 3.5 tonnes on a Kiwi licence in the UK, why a van would smell like cat pee, and upplating a motorhome by 300 kilograms.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember, please follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and the little bell.
Okay, it's another open day at That Leisure Shop, 28th of March. It's the Motorhome Holiday Company and That Leisure Shop. Where's it on and from what times?
Yes, we're open all day Saturday from 10 till 4 at BS 24 6RT at our Hewish site. It's just off junction 21 of the M5. The guys will all be in with a range of motorhomes for hire, a selection of used for sale, and loads of special offers in the shop at That Leisure Shop too.
Yep, just put BS24 6RT into your sat-nav. Oh, it's time for our next Fun Fiamma fact. The Fun Fiamma fact. 5 Fiamma.
It's going well.
It's time for another one in our 5 Fiamma fun facts. Yeah. Anyway, look, we've got 5 Fiamma fun facts. So here we go for our next Fun Fiamma fact on the Motorhome Matt podcast. Yeah.
So, Keith, I'm going to ask you today's Fun Fiamma fact. If you had to name one Fiamma product that genuinely changed the industry, what would it be?
What would it be? What would it be? What would it be?
I think you're overthinking this.
An awning.
That's a very good guess.
Thank you.
Here's Charles Potsy, co-CEO of Fiamma, to tell us. Charles, welcome back to the podcast. If you had to name one Fiamma product that has genuinely changed our industry, what would it be?
It would be the automatic box, which was the first winch-operated awning in the industry. That's why we called it automatic, because it was automatic and it was in a box. Before
so this is with the windy handle?
Yeah, with the winch, exactly. Yeah. So before, all awnings were manual.
Right.
And you had to take them out manually. And so we patented the first winch-operated awning.
Wow. And of course, this has been copied by several others. You had a patent on that automatic boxer originally, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We invented it. We were the first ones to come out with it. And now, of course, the industry, there's others in the industry. And now we have, the current versions of it, which is the F45 and the F80.
So why is it called an F45?
It's very interesting. So, this will sound very Italian. We're a little creative. We change our mind over why it's called a certain way. But the F45 was because it was 4 meters 50 long. That was the length. Then we came out with the F55, which came to 5 meter 50. And then we came out with, essentially the F65, which wasn't because it was 6.5 meters, but because it was celebrating 65 years of Fiamma. And now
it's now called an F80 because you're 80 years old.
80 years old, yeah, exactly.
But it came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was. We were looking forward. We were looking at the future.
The classic Italian attitude to creativity. Close enough.
Close enough. Yeah, we're there.
Find out more about Fiamma at mhmp.info/Fiamma. It's that time of year again. The mornings and evenings are getting lighter. Dare we say spring is definitely in the air, and thoughts of hitting the road are very much front of mind. But before you do, are you organised?
I thought we were talking about sunshine and some trips away. Now you're asking if I've done my homework.
Well, someone has to. There's a lot to think about at this time of year, especially if you haven't been using your van over winter. You're checking tyres, batteries, water systems, all the usual bits. But one thing people often forget is their insurance. Do you know when yours is due? And does it still cover what you need it to?
After a year, I may have forgotten exactly what was in my policy.
Exactly, and that's the point. You might remember when Mel from Ripe came into the studio last year, she put it very simply. Get your ducks in a row. Now's the time for a bit of housekeeping. Dig out your policy and check your renewal date. Make sure the cover matches how you're actually using your van.
Don't just assume it's going to sort itself out.
That's right, yeah. We've worked with Ripe for a long time now, and we get loads of great feedback from listeners about their cover. The quote process is straightforward online, and you can get 15% off your premium when you click the link in our description. So you could save a few pounds as well. But the main thing is this: before you head off on that first spring trip, just make sure everything's in order. A few minutes now beats a headache later.
Get your ducks in a row.
Exactly. Just click the link in the episode description to save with Ripe.
This week's topic on the Motorhome Matt podcast is levelling. Which one is the best? What is the cost? And why are there so many levelling systems to choose from? Matt?
Yeah, it's a very big topic and can be very confusing. I've been Googling it and I've found very few articles that compare and contrast all the levelling systems in one place in an objective manner. So I wanted to put this right because I think you, as our listener and viewer, deserve better. So what do you need to consider when buying a levelling system? Is it cost? Is it weight? Is it the features?
And why do you need a levelling system in the first place? For newbies, for people who've never listened to this podcast before or watched it, what's a levelling system?
Yeah, okay. So these are usually hydraulic rams. There are electric alternatives as well that drop down and lift the motorhome off the ground to get it level. And there's lots of benefits to having a level motorhome. The first is you sleep better. The sinks and shower will drain properly. And most importantly, you don't lose your G&T across the kitchen table.
Absolutely. Or your cheese roll doesn't go off the table.
I'll stick with a G&T. So they are quite an expensive investment. And of course, there are cheaper alternatives. The plastic ramps from Fiamma are a classic, along with a spirit level, or use the G&T to get yourself level.
You don't need 4.
No, then you'd end up where you started.
That's right, yeah, but people buy 4, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah.
You're welcome to buy 4 from our shop. You only need 2. That's why they're sold in pairs.
Yeah.
Although you can buy them individually as well. So there are loads of levelling ramps as well as an alternative. But levelling systems, I think, have become the kind of blue-eyed boy of accessories. We often talk about lithium and solar, but I'm seeing more and more people asking about levelling and thinking of investing in it. And so I invited a very dear friend of mine, Oakley Wood, from Bristol Caravans, based near here, who are specialists in fitting levelling systems, to come in the studio and unpack with me all of the options that are available and discuss what you might want to choose. A very warm welcome to you, Oakley Wood from Bristol Caravans.
Thank you. Pleasure
Do you know
to
what?
be here.
You're very welcome, because it's a bit odd that you're only up the road and it's the first time you've been in the
First
studio.
time, yeah. Feel the wood. Look at that. It's lovely.
How have we not had you in here before?
Don't know.
Anyway, you're
Looking
very
forward to
welcome.
it.
So today we are unpacking the huge topic that is levelling. It is, I reckon, one of the top accessories that people are aspiring to have fitted to their motorhomes in 2026. That and lithium. And of course you specialise in that too.
We do indeed, yes.
So just give us a very quick synopsis of what Bristol Caravan does.
So we're an independent workshop. We do not sell vehicles, which is what everyone gets us confused with. We're caravans, motorhomes and campervans.
Yep.
And we do servicing, repairs and upgrades. Upgrades definitely includes lithium and today's subject, which is levelling. We also have a mechanic on site, so we do all the mechanical repairs as well.
So you do all the oil servicing. And
Yeah, cam belts on your Fiat at 5 years. Yes, all of
got
that.
it. And of course, you're called Bristol Caravans because you used to sell caravans, didn't
We
you?
did. That's where we met back in the day.
Back in the day.
2013, I
Yeah.
came and I almost asked your permission. I think I did ask your permission.
I think you did. That's the type of chap you are.
To see if it was okay to approach Adria and become an Adria dealer for caravans, because you were a
We were Adria Motorhomes, yeah.
Motorhomes,
And for a
yeah.
time, you were an Adria caravan dealer. And now you're all about the servicing and repairs.
Correct, yes.
Right, let's get into this. So, as I said earlier, I have been trying to find a comparison chart of all the levelling systems out there. And I just couldn't find it. There's lots of vlogs and blogs and so on that people can watch, and you have to kind of build your own comparison. And you have created Ta-da!
It didn't exist because I hadn't made it.
There we are, and now you have. And this must have taken you hours.
Yes.
So thank you for doing it. And you can get a copy of this. So stay tuned and we'll tell you how you can get your very own comparison chart. So we're going to talk through all the different levelling systems. You've identified 10 companies here in the UK.
So there's 10 models. So some of the
Right,
companies make
got it.
more than one model. So there's 10 models available in the UK market as of today.
Right.
And I'm aware of 2 additional brands that are looking at the UK to become entrants.
Right. So when they appear, we'll revisit this.
Yeah, it will be updated when they're available.
And we'll update the chart too. So the 10 systems we're going to talk through, let's talk through and name each of them and a USP of each of them, so a unique selling point for each of them.
Okay.
And I want to pick your brain on each of them as well and see if we can find the best fit for you. Okay, so bear with us. It's a long list. Let's start with EMP. Why have we started with EMP? We're in no alphabetical order.
No, we're no.
No
but-
particular order.
Yes.
Why EMP first?
EMP were the new entrant, and this is where it all started, and it was the Level M product that they
Yes.
brought into the UK.
And they came into the UK in 2018.
Approximately, yes.
Roughly, yeah. Okay. And then they launched the Level M Pro.
Yes. So it moved on. So this had more features, more functionality. It was an updated version of of that type of system.
Okay. And then there's the EMP Level Van.
Okay, so Level Van is only available on panel vans. It fits the X250 Fiat Ducato van and the Mercedes-Benz panel van.
Right, so a van with a sliding side door.
Correct.
Not a coach-built motorhome.
Correct.
Okay. We're also going to unpack Alco
Okay.
and their system, the HY4.
So Alco purchased EMP. So EMP as
Right.
a brand now sits under Alco. Alco had its own levelling system, and that's called HY4.
Okay. Then we come to Marve.
Okay, so Marve, made in Italy, and I see them as the beginning of people taking on what they could learn from EMP and developing a new product.
Right, okay. Then there's the brand Amplo, AMPLO.
Okay, another Italian company, and they entered the market after Marve, but another good product out in the marketplace.
Okay. Then I notice you've included Tessa on this list. Now, all these others we've mentioned so far are hydraulic.
Correct.
But the Tessa system's electric. That's the only one on this list that's electric.
It is. There's a weight saving because you don't have the fluid, and you've got less risk of fluid leaks on the Tessa because there is no hydraulic fluid, and it's run electronically, 12 volt, driven off the engine battery.
Right. And is it fair to call that a levelling system?
I fear not now, although they'll probably shoot me for saying that. The challenges we have had as an installer is setting it up so that you can get enough lift so that you can become level in a wide variety of situations.
Yeah.
It's more of a stability product. So if you were on, say, a club site and it's got a shingle or gravel base and it's pretty flat, but you just want it to be stable, and when you're walking around you're not bouncing on the suspension, Tessa is an option, and it's a lower priced option.
Okay, we'll come to pricing in a minute.
Okay.
HPC, there's another brand that people will be familiar with.
Yes. HPC approached it in a slightly different way. They have aluminium anodized rams. Why is that important? Because those rams will be lighter. So you've got
Okay.
more room for payload, deck chairs and things in your garage, because you've saved a few kilograms on the weight of the rams.
Okay, so I want to pick apart the weight of these in a minute as well.
Okay.
VB Air.
So VB is a renowned and respected suspension brand in the UK.
Yes.
Again, a Dutch product, and they have brought their own levelling system to market, the SHR. It's not a product that we are approved to fit. They have their own dealer network for the air side of their business, and we are not part of that. So I've included it on the list.
Yes.
We can fit the others, but this one we don't fit.
So all these others, Bristol Caravans can fit.
Yes.
Okay. And then lastly, and no reason for being last, is M level.
Okay, no reason at all. The USP for M level is made in the UK.
Yeah.
So if you want to buy British, this is the product that we would talk to you about.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Got it. Thank you. So those are the products that we've got on this list, and there will be products I'm sure you're familiar with. If you go to any of the big shows, you'll see some of these being exhibited at the show. So I want to start picking apart the list by asking you, Oakley, which is the best system?
That's a really tough question, Matt, and not a surprise from yourself.
Which is the best?
So when a customer comes to us and we ask them to come in for a free assessment, first of all, so that we can understand their needs, the customer's needs, but also understand the vehicle and what the setup is on their vehicle. And we will ask them these questions. If a customer says to me, I want the cheapest, then we will talk about a particular system. If they say, I want the lightest because payload is an issue, then we will talk about that system. If they come to us and they say, well, this is my vehicle, well, there might only be 3 systems that will fit that vehicle. So we will then look at those systems and say, out of these 3, what's the next most important thing for you?
Okay, so I want to talk about your assessment process then. So this is really important, isn't it? So you invite people to come in to see you
Yes.
in the van.
Yes.
And there's a nominal charge for this, but then you can get it up in the air and with the customer explain to them why these systems are the best fit for their van and their use case. Is that
Yes.
right?
We use column lifts. So
Yep.
the vehicle comes in.
Which
we
are
put-
very cool,
They are very cool. They're wireless. They all talk to each other. It's amazing.
very clever.
And then we can see what's under the vehicle. This morning I had a phone call from somebody and he said, oh, are you the chaps who fit? Yes. How much does it weigh? And I said, how much does what weigh? You know, do you realise there are 10 models
10
here
options.
that we can talk about, and I haven't even found out what your vehicle is yet.
Right.
So it really, we go through a process because there's no point in having the price conversation or the weight conversation if you don't know what the situation is. So it's really important that we at Bristol Caravans, or if you're with somebody else, get them to have a look at your vehicle before you go any further.
Now, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I have had a levelling system fitted to my van by you. We'll unpack that in a bit. But part of the fitting was to go in and for you to go under the van and look at what might be a problem. So things like, and they are considerations are tow bar, spare wheel, waste or freshwater tanks.
Yes.
Where are they? Any cabling? And there was a random wire, wasn't there? Which was some kind of security alarm for the bike rack.
Yep, just
That was
floating around.
Yeah, and it had been retrofitted to the van.
And the key thing about yours was the drop down for the spare wheel. It was already difficult for you to get to.
Yes.
So we then discussed how you are going to overcome that problem on the day that you need it.
Yeah, I'm going to call the RAC is what's going to happen.
Well, or another breakdown company.
There are many out there, of course. But so the best we can't answer. That needs to be established.
It's a personal question, isn't it? The best for somebody is very personal.
There are some criteria as well which you might want to consider, which means you choose your best, and we'll come to those now. Cheapest. Let's talk money. Right, this is probably one of the most
Got to put the
talked
glasses
about.
on now because I have
Do
to
that.
read small
So
detail.
which is the cheapest system?
Okay, if I said within £1, so there's a couple here within
Well, you
£1.
alluded to Tessa earlier, the electric one.
Yes. Okay, so Tessa.
So typically, in January 26, we're recording this.
Yes.
Do we want to reveal typical install
Yes, why
costs?
not? Why
okay,
not?
so what does that cost right now?
About 4,250, subject to inspection in case there's any surprises.
Of course, okay. So that's this stabilisation system,
Yep.
which sort of levels. If
Yep.
I want to go a hydraulic system, which is the cheapest?
You're looking between M level, made in the UK,
Yeah.
at 5,749,
Yeah.
5,750, or Marve. Marve at the moment is 5,695. So apologies. Marve is your most cost-effective approach.
Okay.
Followed by M level.
So if money is your number one, and it fits your van, Marve might be the system to go for.
Yes.
Okay. Which is the lightest?
Sorry, can't give you a straight answer.
Come
Feel
on.
like a politician. If you have a panel van,
Yeah.
so you've got a van that has been made into a camper van.
So my Adria Twin.
Yeah, absolutely. Adria Twin. You may wish to consider EMP's level van.
Yes.
It comes with carbon fibre rams.
They are, and they're really small as well.
Really small, looks really sexy.
I remember picking them up on the Alco stand and saying, "What's wrong with this? Is this I thought it was a display model." It's like, no, that is the RAM. They really are light. And what does that weigh? What's the total weight of the system?
It's and they all talk about 49 kilograms.
So there must be some weight in the control system.
Yeah.
Because the rams are nowhere near
and
a quarter of that.
You've got a pump and you've got hydraulics.
Right, okay.
So you've got all of that fluid. You've probably got 4 litres of fluid in there. So yes, there's other items to the system.
So typically I notice on this matrix, which we'll give you a copy of later, they are typically from 49 to 65 kilos.
Yeah, it's a range.
So yeah, and so that's the kind of impact this system is going to have on your payload.
Yeah. If you've got a payload and you can't lose 100 kg, you've got to question whether you're going to go down this route.
It is almost the weight of a small person, isn't it?
Smaller than me.
Well, yeah.
You could leave a child at home.
Neither of us, to be fair. Maybe our other halves. Okay, so I've got an Alco chassis. So my motorhome has been adapted so that the chassis rails are built by Alco.
Yes.
That's important because not every levelling system is approved to be fitted to Alco. Which systems are Alco approved?
Funny enough, it's pretty much Alco and EMP purchased by Alco are approved by Alco chassis systems.
Okay.
I would revisit that and have a chat with VB Air. I think you might have them in soon.
So we're going to get VB on as well in a minute,
Yeah.
just to give us a synopsis of theirs because they're not part of the family of brands that you fit.
Yep.
So I'll ask them. But there's also HPC claim they're Alco friendly as well.
So senior management at HPC have said to me that they are approved by Alco. Again, if it's a real sticking point, I would double check that before you proceed.
Contact Alco.
Yes.
And you can ring them up, can't you?
Yeah. If you are concerned with a warranty on your chassis system and you're about to fit something to that chassis system, get the dealer or direct to Alco to say that's
and I
approved.
happen to know Alco are quite protective of their chassis.
Yeah, they are. For all the right reasons. You don't want to make that an unsafe chassis system.
No, sure.
So, yeah.
Okay, security. Now, there's a great feature on some of these systems where, well, I'll let you explain. What is it?
So they have a keypad and you can set a pin, your own pin. Don't put your bank card in.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you set a pin, and then when you've got the vehicle up in the air, you can say, yes, I'd like to leave it now with the pin set.
Okay.
You can leave it without the pin set, but you can leave it with the pin set, and then to get the vehicle down, you have to put the pin in.
Yep.
So what we're suggesting to our customers, if you're putting the vehicle into storage or leaving it off-grid somewhere, and put the front wheels up in the air. This enables the water to run off the roof, so you're aiding your potential water ingress, you're keeping the water moving, no pooling on the roof. But B, if there was another motorhome there, and God forbid you've got somebody who wants to steal one, you've just put another reason not to steal your
barrier
vehicle.
in the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Thatcham approved, but it's a physical deterrent.
But if there's a pin and they get in and they turn the levelling system on, they can't lower it without knowing your pin.
Correct.
Great feature. Love that. And I've answered this before, but it's okay, isn't it, to leave a van parked up on its hydraulic rams?
Yes, it
for
is.
a long period of time in storage.
But with all these questions, it's not a straightforward yes, no. Yes, it is, as long as you're not parked right by the seaside, because we all suffer with salt damage from that. If you're going to leave it for a long period of time, I would suggest you're coming back at least once a month, and you're maybe going to spray the legs with a silicone spray or something, just to help protect them.
So good common sense, really. Good practice.
It's good common sense, and anybody that buys a system from us, and I'd like to think any of the other dealers in the network, would walk you through all of that sort of stuff.
So let's talk about dealer support. Warranty. Which system has the best warranty?
Okay, so they all do a minimum of 2 years. Some offer 3. If you came to Bristol Caravans, we're the only installer in the UK offering a 5-year warranty. The first 3 years is underwritten by Amplo, and the last 2 years for 12-volt electricals and the PCBs is underwritten by me.
Okay, but it's important to mention, though, M-Level offer a 4 to 5 year upgrade.
They do offer an upgrade. I don't have the price on that, but it'd be year 4 and 5. There is an upgrade option.
And HPC,
they offer an upgrade option to 10 years.
But we're unable at the point we record this to get the price for that.
Correct.
So maybe we can add the price to that on this.
Yes.
If we can get hold of it. I think that would be useful for some people who want that extra peace of mind.
Yeah.
And of course, the warranty only matters when it goes wrong.
It does.
And you don't want to be stuck, in Edinburgh when it goes wrong. And I want to talk about that level of support as well. The dealer network. Mm-hmm. Who has the most dealers around the UK?
I have put numbers on this sheet for the dealers.
And of course it could change tomorrow, couldn't it?
Absolutely. So at the moment, I think M-Level have got about 33 dealers in the UK and Ireland. Amplo have about 10. So it ranges in between those numbers.
Okay. Now, if I'm in Edinburgh and one of my Amplo jacks failed,
yep,
and I rang you, you're in Bristol,
yep,
what would you do?
So it's a good question. First of all, we'd probably be doing this with WhatsApp and video calls, so we can actually see what's happening. So
yes. Yeah.
I always say to our customers, if you don't have WhatsApp, let's get that installed. So if we have to have a conversation, we can have a conversation and see what's happening. The warranty from all of these companies is return to base. So it'd be return to your dealer, or if we've got a dealer nearby that can support, then we'd reach out to them as well. And it would really depend on what is the problem and how we can overcome it. So if it was a RAM, then it would probably need a new part. So therefore, we've got to get the part to you. Mm-hmm. So if it was a RAM, it's probably we need to retract the RAMs and get you home or get you to where you're going, and then get it fixed at a later date.
Okay.
If it's the electrical problem and the system's no longer pumping, there are manual levers that you can add to the systems, and you can pump, and that will lift the legs back up again.
Okay.
So it depends on the issue and the outcome. We had a couple that were travelling in Spain and Portugal. They're on their 90 days visa, and they phoned in and they said, we haven't got a problem, but we can see one of the RAMs has dropped 1 centimetre. So okay, we've obviously got a problem here that we need to address. How can we help this couple? And it was on an Amplo system, and I spoke to Amplo, who are in Italy. They directed us to the nearest installer. The installer then looked at the vehicle and couldn't decide just from a visual whether it would be the actual RAM or a complete pump assembly. Amplo shipped both of those parts to the installer. The customer then went to the installer. They only needed a RAM, so they had a RAM fitted, and then the customer brought those parts back to Bristol, and we did a warranty claim. They didn't spend any money; it didn't cost them anything, and they carried on with their holiday.
Right. Wow. So there's some great after-sales support then from manufacturers.
There's some amazing support, and the beauty of this is some of the businesses are still family-run small businesses. I can pick up the phone, speak to an owner or a director today, now, And that's an amazing thing.
Which is actually how you've built this list.
Yes, you wouldn't get this information by trawling the internet, and that's why you haven't been able to find it so far.
Well, we both searched hard for it, didn't we? And it just, as far as we were aware, didn't exist.
Correct.
So, well done on doing that. So what other considerations are there in terms of an install and maybe protecting it from the elements? You mentioned spraying it with silicone spray if you're going to leave it high in the air.
Lots of the systems come with just a bracket to mount it under the vehicle. When I say under the vehicle, that's the pump assembly.
Okay.
Yeah.
The big lumpy bit with all the pipes.
Yeah. So an upgrade that I often recommend that isn't in these basic prices is a weather box. So a weather box, then they're not 100% waterproof, but they're protecting your pride and joy, your pump, your electric system from the elements, from salt, road salt and things like that.
Yes.
Just the difference is chalk and cheese.
And is a weather box included in these prices on
No,
here?
it's not. It's additional. And depending on the brand, it's a different price as well.
But typically, what kind of price are we looking at?
£200 to £300.
Okay, so maybe consider a weather box. It seems like a sensible addition to me.
You're spending this amount of money,
exactly,
protected a bit longer.
So price-wise, the kind of window, the thresholds of pricing, we started at, where were we? Were we
well, if we're saying hydraulic,
5,750. Yeah, 5,749 for M level. The most expensive at the moment?
Up to 7,700
for the Alco HY4.
Correct, yes.
Now there is a very cool feature, two cool features. One is weighing the van when it's on its rams.
Yes.
Now I know that the Amplo system has that feature.
It's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade, and that is a system I currently have on my van.
It is.
Which I'm testing in partnership with you.
Yes.
And we're learning a bit about it together because I am putting it way through its paces.
You are.
Thank you. Stay tuned for what I've done to it. I'm not actually trying to break it, and I haven't broken it yet.
No.
But what a feature that's very clever is I get it off the ground, and I'm able to weigh the van, and we're going to fit this, aren't we, in due course?
Yep.
I think that's a great feature. So which brands offer the weighing function?
Okay, great question. So right now, the Amplo system offers it as an upgrade.
Yeah.
The Alco HY4, it's available as an upgrade. HPC have also got that as an upgrade. Theirs is just over £1,000, and VB Air, again, it's an upgrade, and I think it starts at about 395. But please double check with them when you sit down with them.
So is it normally a chargeable function to have this feature?
Yeah, there's a standard system.
Yeah.
And the standard systems, if they have this upgrade, usually the control panel and the box and everything have the function or the ability to be upgraded. You go for a software upgrade, and you go for some additional parts that are attached to the hydraulic system.
Another feature, if you're a real techie, a mobile app can be quite cool. And some of these systems do have mobile apps, don't
Yes, they do.
And I imagine more and more of them will start introducing it.
Well, you say that, but we have a lot of customers that say, I've got too many apps, I don't want an app.
Okay.
My phone goes flat. What happens if my phone's flat? I forgot to charge it.
Well, that would be a pain, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. So people that are currently offering, or I'm aware that they're currently offering control through a mobile app, are Alco HY4, Marve, HPC, and VB Air.
Brilliant. Okay. So, Oakley, that's been incredibly insightful. I've learned more about levelling systems in the last 20 minutes than ever. Thank you. All of these you fit, apart from VB Air.
Correct.
So we invited them into the studio to tell us a little bit about this system. So, Oakley, stay with us. I'll come back to you in a sec. Well, I'm delighted to welcome into the studio Grav from VB Air Suspension. A very warm welcome to you, a former professional cricketer.
Cheers, Matt. Embarrassed me there.
Not many people know this.
No,
Who
they
did
don't
you play
know.
for?
So I started out on Lancashire's Academy and played for Essex, Durham, and my local club, Chorley, as well as a professional there for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I only recently discovered this of you, literally a few moments ago.
Yeah.
So how did you get into selling air suspension? You're the sales manager for the UK and Ireland for VB
Yep.
Air. Were you just not good enough at cricket?
That, and I needed a proper job.
Well, you're here, so thank you so much for coming in. I know you've travelled several hours to be with us today. Just to share a little bit more about two products that you sell.
Yeah.
There's the air suspension, which we're going to talk about because it does level the motorhome.
Yeah.
Because we're focusing on leveling.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about SHR, which is a product you resell. Let's start with your air suspension, which is really clever. I think people understand what air suspension is, but just talk us through some of its features.
So there's a few different types of air suspension. The air suspension that's got the leveling feature is full air four-corner air suspension, and that's where you have a complete overhaul of the standard suspension that's on the vehicle. So essentially, all the steel components are replaced with air suspended components. So it's very different to an air assist or semi-air suspension, which a lot of people have just on the rear.
Which is what I've got on my van, isn't it?
Exactly that, yeah.
And that's great from when I'm driving. It does sort of move the van up and down a bit to level it, but it's not leveling. Your system, you fit them on ambulances, don't you?
We do, yeah.
And it's got loads of functionality. You can raise the front, lower the back for loading. You can raise the back and lower the front for going on a ferry. You call it ferry mode.
Ferry mode, yeah.
And you can tip it side to side, so emptying waste tanks. So it's completely controllable.
Yeah.
So we're doing a sort of compare and contrast of different products. I understand it's from Holland originally.
Yeah,
so VBA is a Dutch company. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
There's no drilling.
Nope, everything fits to existing chassis mounting points, and that's why we've got certain OEM approvals and partnerships as well.
Yes.
So we don't modify the base chassis in any way.
And you major on this, don't you, with Ford and Stellantis Group? You're very much working in partnership with them.
Correct,
it's got a 2-year warranty with a 1-year upgrade option.
Correct, yep, full air has, yep.
What does it weigh?
Depends on the vehicle type and the kit type, but generally speaking, if we compare it to like a Fiat or something like that, it's about 53 kg.
Okay,
yeah, because you take a lot of the suspension off, and then obviously you're fitting air suspended components, so the net weight change is 53 kg.
Okay, now you were showing me earlier a picture of the Fiat Ducato kit.
Correct, yeah.
Versus the VW T6 kit.
Yeah.
They're worlds apart, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the base suspension on the vehicles is very different. On a Fiat Ducato, as an example, it's leaf sprung at the back rather than being coil sprung.
Yes.
So there's a lot more sort of bracketry, steel work, and everything that sort of goes into a leaf sprung vehicle than a coil sprung vehicle on a T6. So whereas hydraulic leveling is, I suppose, 4 different jacks. Air suspension is very vehicle specific to that make, model, and type of chassis.
Right, got it. And you've got a dealer count of around 15 dealers who are your professional dealers.
Yeah.
And they're not just working on motorhomes, though, are they? They're working on all sorts of vehicles, including ambulances, as I mentioned earlier.
Correct, yeah. So we have 15 premium dealers throughout the UK and Ireland. They work very, very closely with us. We have great relationships with us. And also we had a dealer meeting last week where, because of their breadth of knowledge, they see everything from like repair work to full installs on motorhomes, ambulances, pickup trucks, 4x4s. We cover the whole range because we actually do a lot of work with commercial vehicles as well.
Right.
Like you mentioned, the ambulances.
Yes.
So those dealers have like the most experience of anyone in the UK, really.
Yeah, okay. It takes 2 days roughly to install onto a Ducato. So your dealer would need it for 2 days. It's important to note as well, you don't have an install service at your head office.
No, we don't, no.
The facilities there are for you for testing.
Yep.
Your customers who buy this have to go to your dealer network.
They have to go through a dealer network.
Okay, and the cost then of VB air suspension?
Varies on the type of vehicle. On something like a T6, between 7.5, depending on options, because of the type of vehicle.
1,000?
Yeah, that's 1,000, sorry. And on a Fiat Ducato, if it was leaf sprung at the back, so say for example on an Adria Twin, you're probably looking at around 9.5, depending on options.
And on a tag axle motorhome?
A tag axle, so on a Fiat tag axle, it's around 12.5 to 13, and then on a Mercedes tag axle, which is one of the latest vehicles that is out, that's closer to sort of 15.5.
It's not cheap, is it?
It's not cheap, no. On the tag axles, you essentially get double of everything at the back. So because you've got 2 axles, you get 2 lots of suspension at the back and 1 on the front axle as well. And in terms of the components that are sort of like fitted to the vehicle, everything's manufactured for that specific type of use, basically. With the Mercedes kit, as an example, it's fully Mercedes approved as well.
Right.
And like the level of testing we have to sort of do on the air suspension side to get those OEM approvals is sort of like second to none.
And that OEM approval carries a big cost. Hence, it's a bigger investment. But it's important to say that the air suspension kit I've got, you do offer a system like that for around £1,500, don't you?
We do, So we've got semi-air kits, which is essentially air assist. So the standard suspension stays on the vehicle. We fit an air bellow in between the leaf spring and the chassis in a similar way to what you've got. You can either have it as a base kit, or you can have an analog control, or the newest type of control is a digital controller that we've got that you can see in the dark.
Right, okay, very good. So that's air. A big investment. Important that people understand which chassis they've got before they come to you for a quote, or go to the dealer for a quote. Now, the way air levelling works is it lowers all the air out of the van and then raises it up, isn't it, to level it?
Correct,
That's how it levels, rather than rams that drop down and lift it off, take all the sag out of the suspension and then level it.
Exactly that,
Okay.
I suppose there's sort of like two ways of looking at it. You can either your most stable point of center of gravity is kind of like being at the lowest position. So that is what air will typically do, is lower the vehicle down into its lowest position, then level. If you're on a particularly uneven surface, you can level high as well. You can put it in the highest position and then level from there as well.
Let's quickly talk about SHR. So this is a Dutch product that you resell in the UK. It's exclusive to you.
A German product.
Sorry, it's a German product. German product.
Yeah.
And let's talk through some of its features very quickly then. So this is a traditional hydraulic ram system.
Correct, yeah. Hydraulic leveling system, which obviously there's a few out on the market. There is a few points of differentiation, I suppose, with SHR. For example, we use stainless steel foot plates, stainless steel pump housing as well. There's also no wired controller.
It's remote control only,
wireless remote control, or a phone app as well that you can use. Some of the other features are, it's fairly quick leveling wise.
It levels in 60 seconds.
Correct.
That's quick, isn't it?
It is quick. Yeah, it is quick. Yeah.
Okay. Does it have a weighing function?
There is a weighing function. Yeah. Originally, it was an optional extra, but now it's included in the systems.
Right, okay.
So you get the weighing function included, and it's accurate to within 1.5%, which I think is probably one of the most accurate systems out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another great feature I do like about it is when you raise it off the ground, the rams, the jacks, lock. So if someone was to cut a hydraulic hose, it wouldn't drop to the floor. So if you're changing a wheel, you don't have to put an axle stand under the van, as is advised to do with most other levelling systems. It has that safety feature, doesn't it?
Correct, yeah. I think so. A lot of other levelling systems, you can change a tyre at the side of the road, but the issue you have is that if there was a leak in the system, or
it could drop.
It could drop.
It's always advisable to put an axle stand there or jack underneath as well.
Yeah. So SHR has got a patented technology which locks the once the jack's got to its final position, whether it's raising or lowering it, it will lock it out there basically, so it can't physically drop again or raise up and back again.
And then you can manually override that when the time comes.
Correct.
And the weight of the system?
Depending on what system it is, between 70 and 75 kg.
So it's quite heavy. It's one of the heavier ones.
It is one of the heavier ones, yeah. I think a lot of the components that we use are obviously very heavy duty, and we have a slightly different approach to what we do. Whereas a lot of systems bolt to the side of the chassis, we have sort of like a subframe underneath the vehicle, and we take a lot of the stress from the chassis because we bolt to our own subframe, which houses the pump on the rear axle as well. So it's a slightly different method.
And while you're not Alco approved, you do fit and can fit to an Alco chassis.
Exactly, yeah. We fit to all the Alco chassis, so Mercedes, Alco, Fiat, Alco, without any issues as well.
Got it, okay. And one last feature, very quickly. This is very cool, the alarm integration. Tell us about this, because I think this is unique to VBA and SHR.
Correct, yeah. I mean, I'm not seeing another system with it available. In Germany, SHR have been using it successfully for the last sort of 10 years, and it's a integration feature that we're looking at bringing into the UK in February. We'll have it on our demonstrator vehicle, and essentially how it works is if the alarm's triggered, so say for example someone smashes a window, opens a door or something like that, or tries to steal the vehicle, a signal is sent to the hydraulic levelling system, and it will deploy the jacks and raise the vehicle off the ground. and it will also level it as well.
Right,
And then
okay.
you can't override it basically internally.
So even with the remote control, you can't override it. You need to have your phone to then retract those jacks. You are going to freak thieves out. It has to be said.
Well, I mean, if they're going to freak anybody out, it would be the thieves.
Absolutely,
It's not
yeah.
a bad thing, I don't think.
Grav, that's really insightful. Thank you so much for coming in. Just tell us quickly, SHR, what does it cost?
So SHR is between 6,995 and 7,995, depending on the type of vehicle you have. 7,995 is more for like the heavier vehicles, so like the 7-ton Ivecos.
Okay.
6,995 for Ford Fiat, and then 7.5 for Fiat Alco, Mercedes
Got it.
Alco.
Grav, thank you so much for coming in. It's been really useful, very insightful. Appreciate you unpacking all that with us. Where can people find out more about VB Air suspension?
So if you visit our UK website, which is www.vbsursuspension.co.uk, all the information on VB and SHR is on there with useful blogs as well.
So thank you to VB Air for contributing to this piece. Really appreciate that. So now we've got a real insight into all the systems that are available. I think you will want to get hold of this matrix. Huge thanks to Oakley at Bristol Caravans and the team for pulling this together. Thank you. You can get in touch with Bristol Caravans via the Motorhome Matt approved page of our website. Now, if people want to have a levelling system fitted to their van by you,
Yes.
the first stage is the assessment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So they come to you for that.
Yes.
What is the cost of that assessment?
The cost is currently £49.
Oh, okay, easy. Now, you also have a campsite on site.
We do.
So people are travelling, they can come and they can stay. And it's a really convenient site, literally next door. But there's also a Motorhome Matt discount. Tell us
There
more.
is. So if you book the assessment, and at the assessment booking stage you say Motorhome Matt, we will give you £100 off of your purchase of this system,
Okay.
which means
brilliant.
the assessment's free straight
Thank you.
away.
Yes.
And if you are you proceed then to purchase one, we offer a free collection and delivery within a 2-hour drive time of Bristol Caravans.
Okay. Up and down the M4.
Indeed.
Brilliant. But if people want to come, they can. They
Yes.
can bring the van to you,
Yes.
and you will give them a car, won't you? So they can head off
Yep.
into Bristol, off to Bath.
We'll sort something out, or you can go walk with the dogs. We're on a 200-acre arable farm, good local pubs. So, yes, all sorts of things to do.
And the campsites are there so they can stay if they
Yep.
need to overnight.
Yep.
Brilliant. Oakley, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in and for the prep of preparing this. I really appreciate it. And we'll look forward to updating this as more companies come into the UK.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So you heard and saw there Oakley Wood, the Managing Director of Bristol Caravans, and Grav Dar, Sales Manager of VB Air Suspension.
Yeah, thank you to them both. It's a big topic, and I think that's been incredibly useful. And I know if you're listening or watching this and you're thinking of fitting a levelling system, I know that's going to be very helpful.
So after all that, why make that big investment when you can just buy a couple of plastic wedges?
Convenience, absolutely number one. If you're travelling on your own as well, that getting out and trying to level up on your own is very difficult. And I think more and more people are going off grid and off of campsites and parking up on areas that are not flat. And sleeping level is absolutely a luxury that people crave, and this is where a levelling system is just so easy.
Yeah, and I think was in last week's podcast, somebody asked on the Q&A about extras and accessories and do they add value to a motorhome when you sell it second. I would have thought a levelling system is one of those rare ones that does add value.
Yes, it does. And it was Dave Miller asked this question, and I would agree. I think if there is any big extra you're going to fit, lithium would be one and levelling would be another. I think lithium is an aspirational product.
Yeah, solar panels and lithium batteries, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. And I think levelling is really a luxury product. You don't need to have it. If you're going and spending a lot of time off grid without the engine running, then lithium is kind of justified far more easily than levelling, in my opinion. I've got levelling on our van and I love it. It's so easy, so convenient. I don't even need to get out of the van to level it. It is very convenient, especially in the rain, but it absolutely is a luxury product. But it's one, as I said earlier, that's become a blue-eyed boy of the accessory world, and more people are looking to get it fitted. And prices have come down as well, so they've become more affordable as time's gone on.
And you can download the comparison table Oakley has made by clicking the link in the description, or head straight to mhmp.info/levelling. That's MHMP, Motorhome Matt Podcast.info/levelling. It's booking season. Sites, ferries, insurance, lots of card details flying around.
Exactly, yeah, which is why I use NordVPN. Every time you're typing in personal information on public Wi-Fi, you are taking a risk.
What, even on, say, a cafe connection?
Especially there. NordVPN encrypts your connection so your data's protected. And with Threat Protection Pro, it blocks dodgy links and scam sites before you click something you might regret.
So it's protection before the problem raises its head.
That's it, yeah. I've got it running constantly now on my laptop, on my phone, everywhere.
So, Matt, where do you go?
Head to nordvpn.com/Motorhome Matt, where you'll get 4 extra months included for free, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So it's worth doing before your next trip.
Definitely.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe. Okay, time for our Q&A, the questions and answers, where you ask the questions and Motorhome Matt, for it is he, will give you the answers, and if he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who jolly well does. Jeannie Spinks is in New Zealand.
Hi, Matt and Keith. It's Jeannie and Kevin here, sending you this from New Zealand. We're about to come to the UK in May to pick up a Benimar 282, and it's 4.4 tonne. My question is, my husband has a C1 UK issued licence. I have a New Zealand licence, and our standard car licence allows me to drive up to 6 tonne. However, I'm getting mixed information from the UK as to whether I can use my Kiwi licence and drive the 4.4 tonne motorhome in the UK and Europe. I rang up the DVLA and they said, yes, I can, but everywhere else has said, no, I can't. The 6 tonne doesn't translate to the UK laws, and I'm super confused. Just if you could have an investigate, I'd love you for it, and we love your podcast. It's fantastic. Thanks.
It sounds like they were quite famous down under.
It would seem so.
Well, I heard
Thank
you are
Jeannie.
anyway.
You leave my down under alone.
Oh, dear. Thanks, Jeannie. Okay, so can she drive here on her New Zealand licence for 12 months?
This is really confusing, Jeannie, when you Google it. You are quite right. This has come up before, actually, and I remember doing some research on this then. And I did double-check this, and the answer is no, you can't. So in the UK, your husband can drive over 3.5 tonnes because he has a C1. But your Kiwi licence was valid in the UK for up to 12 months, and then you should take a UK driving test. You can only drive up to 3.5 tonnes here on your Kiwi licence, even though you can drive 6 tonnes back home. Why this is the case, I don't really know. And you are right, even the gov.uk website is misleading and says, yes, you can use your Kiwi licence here up to 3.5 tonnes. It doesn't actually clarify that you can drive over that. So my advice would be, if DVLA are telling you, yes, you can, write to them and get them to write back and check with your insurer that they are happy to insure you, and get that in writing too. But my take on this is that the official line is you can't do it. So I would exercise extreme caution here, because the risk is you have an accident and then you're not insured and then you're in a whole pile of pickle. So that's my take on it.
Okay, Patrick Kynes in the Forest of Dean, and he wants to know about his pussycat. Meow.
Hi Matt, it's Pat here from the Forest of Dean. Matt, got an issue. Over the last 2 to 3 months, our Carthago 138 2022 has developed a cat pee-like smell towards the front of the van. Issue is we don't have a cat. We have now investigated it with the help of different garages, Charleston down in Somerset and various other garages, to try and eliminate what this could be. We've looked at batteries. We've looked at various other things, including grey water. We've cleaned the floor, etc., etc. Someone now has suggested it could be the catalytic converter that's smelling, but we're at a loss. Any help would be very much appreciated. Look forward to hearing, hopefully, from you soon. Bye.
The catalytic converter.
In a Cartago.
Yeah, very good.
Is this a wind-up?
Cheers, Patrick. Well, for my first question to you, Patrick, is: does your neighbour have a cat? And if it's a Tom, has it been doctored? Because tomcats pee, if they haven't been doctored, smells horrible, and they do love to take shelter under vehicles.
That's very true. But I do wonder if this is a genuine question, because there's a few cat themes in here. I was waiting for the name of the dealership he took it to, and he went to Charleston, not Chelston.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
but if I was to try and answer this seriously, and maybe it is a genuine question, I would suggest it could be an AdBlue leak.
Oh, that's because that's pig's wheat. That's made of pig's wheat.
It's not made of pig's wheat. You know this is not true. It's urea. It's nothing to do with pigs.
Urea.
We've covered this before. It's in urea.
You're down under urea. Yeah.
But it does have a very peculiar smell, which could be confused for cat wee. So maybe that's it. I'm not sure what else it could be.
Vermin?
It could be vermin that's maybe mice or rats have got into the engine bay. Rat pee does stink. It's true. It's horrible. But yeah, my suggestion is maybe there's an AdBlue leak. The other items you claim that you've investigated don't smell anything like cat wee. Yeah. So batteries are sulphur, and wastewater tanks just are horrible. Yeah, maybe it's AdBlue.
Yeah, but we've got a feline that
an auto trail feline.
You're winding us up. Oren Kipnis is in Tregarth. I need to upplate my camper. I found only one service provider, SVTech, who is willing to upplate by 180 kilograms, where I need 300 kilograms extra. Are there any other service providers? Thanks and kind regards.
So SVTech are my go-to, and I would suggest if Richard and his team are telling you can only go to 180 kilos, then that's going to be the case. The only things you could do is increase the wheel size, tyre size, improve the suspension with air suspension, or change the leaf springs, maybe adding leaves to it. So go back to SVTech and ask them, is there anything else I can do to the chassis? They've crash tested these chassis at their maximum weight, so they really do know their stuff. If you Google it, you will find other experts where you could get a second opinion. VB Air are one, for example, but these people are experts. This is not to be toyed with, so take their word as the advice you need.
Cheers, Oren. Thanks for the question. If people want to get in touch, what should they do?
We'd love it if you did. Yeah, thank you. Head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. Fill in the form or click the orange button where you can record your question, but please tell us where you are.
There's a few on Facebook having a chat with Motorhome Matt. It's brand new. Well, fairly new anyway. A private group on Facebook. All you've got to do is ask to join. As I say every week, I'm the only one that's been refused entry, but it's a nice little resource, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, it's great. Come and join us. Chat with Motorhome Matt is the name of the group on Facebook, so you need to be a Facebook user. Come and join the group. It's completely free to join. There's a few questions that we ask of you prior to joining, but it's a really friendly place to come and get advice, hints, tips, and join the community. There's lots of people joining in with conversation with each other. It's a private group, so you can post privately. And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory. It's at mhmp.info/approved. And if you're listening, please click follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and that little bell.